Lions-Packers. Let's do that one first. Lions go into Green Bay, terrible weather, end up getting that massive division win, 24-13. Let's take a look at the top 5 graded players from the Detroit Lions. Safety Kirby Joseph's at the very top of the list with an 87.7. Wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown with an 82.7. Tight end Sam Laporta with a 79.4. Guard Kevin Zeitler with a 78.7. And then linebacker Jack Campbell with a 78.5. Jared Goff in this game, very efficient, even through the rain, 76.2. On the other side of things for the Green Bay Packers, wide receiver Jaden Reed is 77.3. Offensive tackle Rasheed Walker, 73.3. Offensive tackle Zach Thomas, 73.3 as well. Safety Javon Bullard with a 71.3. And cornerback Carrington Valentine with a 67.2. Jordan Love in this game, 68.3. Dalton, what do we got here? What did you think about this game?
So what you said about the Broncos game earlier, how there was a lot of missed opportunities and the game could have been a lot closer, that's where I feel the Packers were at in this game. They were 1 for 4 in the red zone. The touchdown was on their last drive of the game when they were down. I believe it was 24-6. First drive of the game, they work all the way down there, kick a 30-yard field goal, missed a 46-yard field goal in the second quarter. 2 straight fumbles when they were going in to score in the third quarter that wound up kicking a field goal on. Stopped on a 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter at the Detroit 9. It just they moved the ball well. They got into Lions territory on 7 of their 9 drives. They just couldn't put the ball in the end zone. Mm-hmm. And against a team like the Lions, I mean, as good as they are, especially on offense, as good as they are, you have to score 7 instead of 3, or especially instead of 0. So I just thought the Packers. There was good moments in this game on their offense. There was just when it got down to it, when they had opportunities to score, just couldn't punch it in.
And I think the weather was a big part that told the story here, and the weather really affected the Packers more than it did the Detroit Lions. I don't feel as though either team was able to really do what they wanted to do on offense in this game because of the weather. Like, even when you look at how these teams ran the ball, it wasn't as explosive as it has been in the past, and I think the weather was a big reason for that. I know Josh Jacobs had a pretty healthy yards per carry average, but Montgomery and Gibbs weren't able to get it going as well as we have seen them do in the past, and I do think that it's because of the weather and the challenges that they had. Now, I mentioned, to me, the weather simply was a deterring factor for the Packers more than it was for the Detroit Lions. 3 fumbles for Jordan Love in the second half in this game. He didn't lose any of them, but they were snaps that came to him, and all of a sudden, it was back-to-back plays once, which totally killed their chances to go in for a touchdown. I believe it was in the third quarter there. And they also had 6 drop passes, the Green Bay Packers did in this game. Now, that's not too unfamiliar from the Packers this season, unfortunately, but it does contribute to an offense that wasn't humming the way that we have seen it do so in the past. So I really do think that this was a close game. These are 2 really good teams. And to be honest, I'm just already excited for the early December game that they have, in a month. Because
in a dome.
That's in Detroit. It's in a dome. We don't have to worry about it. I'm not sitting here saying like all football should be played in a dome kind of a thing. I get that, there's some home field advantages to playing in the weather and the elements and all that. I'm not necessarily trying to take that away. But it was a reason why 2 of the best teams in the NFL were not able to perform on the offensive side of the ball the way that we know they are capable of. I can't wait to see that in Detroit at the beginning of December because I thought it was a big reason why this game turned out the way that it did. 24-14, by the way. I said the score wrong.
I think Dan Campbell said it best after the game, though. They are built to play like that, to play that ugly, muddy football with their offensive line and the way that they play. I think Dan Campbell, he was like, I'm not surprised we came out here in this weather and won this game because they're built. That's actually the heart and soul of their team is to play football games like that.
And I want to make it clear, I don't think that the Packers aren't. There's just when you make it more difficult, when you have a rainy, cold conditions and the ball is wet and everything the bad bounces can happen to any team. And to me, it happened more towards Green Bay, not because they can't handle it, but that's just kind of the way that it was in this game. So it's tough for me to take too much away from this game other than hat tip the Detroit Lions for going into Green Bay, hostile environment. They had to deal with the weather too, losing Brian Branch, and they come away with a victory in this one.
I think the Lions can win more games where there's no explosive pass element than the Packers can.
That's a great point.
I think that's really the main difference. And in a game where it's pouring rain and you have a limited opportunity to get the ball down the field, which is what happened yesterday, that's more that plays into the Lions' game plan a little more. Because you saw it in the Dome last year, dude. They were the Packers. I mean, last year, but like they were throwing the ball like crazy. Jordan Love on that offense when they played
the Thanksgiving game. Yeah.
I think it was the Thanksgiving game. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens in the Dome. But like I said, I think that it does suit Detroit, and this team is just, they're a wagon, they're a house,
Yep.
they're a machine,
Yep.
they're a wall, they're an avalanche, they're a coyote,
They're a 5-story
they're
mansion.
a lightning,
Oh, wow.
Now you're
they're
just
a
naming,
Canadian,
Now you're just naming talking
they're a
teams.
jet,
They're the Utah Hockey Club.
they're a hockey club.
Most impressive, I think, is just the Lions' adversity in this game, how they were able to really take care of business. Most disappointing, Dontavian Wicks, 2 drops in this game, caught zero of his catchable passes were caught in this game. He is bottom 3 in the NFL in terms of catchable passes that have been caught this season and total drops, which is
Tough.
bad. Not good. So whether or not, that's why I said at the very top, like, oh, it didn't help Green Bay.
But
Hadn't been great when it's perfect weather either for Dontavian Wicks, unfortunately, who I had a lot of high hopes for this
did
season.
you?
I did. I thought he was going to be their deep threat guy this season. I felt like Jaden Reed was going to be the person who obviously was emphasized the most in the passing game, but I thought he was going to be a huge part of their deep passing game, and he's not been very reliable. But Dalton, anything else?
most impressive, it's good. It's good to have when the second best safety in football gets ejected for a helmet-to-helmet hit.
Another one.
The best safety in football, the one
Wow.
guy ahead of him, Kirby Joseph. The Lions have the 2 highest-graded safeties in football. Kirby Joseph is number 1. The pick 6 that Jordan Love kind of inexplicably threw in this game, that was the biggest play of the game. Joseph now has 6 interceptions on the year. A spectacular year. We talked about the Lions needing to be better in coverage this year if they want to win a Super Bowl. At the safety position, they are the best in football right now with these 2 guys. Branch ejected, doesn't matter. Joseph makes huge plays on the back end as well. Most disappointing, the other side, the Packers. Here's what I'll say. Inside, outside, on the moon, wherever they're playing, they need to be more physical up front on defense if they're going to beat the Lions. Their defensive line right now ranks 25th in overall grade and 29th in pass rush grade. Only 6 pressures and 1 sack in this game. If they don't, I love the way their defense has been opportunistic and getting the turnovers, and Xavier McKinney's a great fit. Some of the young guys are playing well, but if they're not tougher up front in games like this, and even in indoor games like this where the Lions make it physical, then the Lions they're going to win this division head-to-head because they're the most physical team.
Already excited about December 5th. That's honestly my main takeaway with this game after watching it.